Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week 3 of the MCDFNL Footy Show. For the first week, we've taken on the road. We're out here at Royal Park this week after, of course, Bushy's big win in round 1 on the weekend. We've got their Vice President, Justin Broad, with us. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
And their Senior Coach, Greg Stewart, the man that's been dubbed Super Coach around these parts in the last few days. Stu, welcome.
Thanks, mate.
And of course, keeping his spot on the side this week, we benched Scott Carey last week to bring Sam in. Proved his worth, did very, very well, so we've got him another run for him. Sam Gowers, welcome to the show again, mate.
Good to be back, Sean.
Certainly is. Let's jump straight into the results from the weekend's games with absolutely no ado. We'll start with the game between Newstead and Harcourt. Played last Saturday, which saw Newstead 18-10, 118, defeating Harcourt 5-9-39. Daniel Christmas, 6 goals for Newstead, 3 each to Webster, Kroll and Entwistle, and 2 to Thomas Rees with their multiples. Harcourt just the one multiple goal kicker, with Daniel Smith kicking 2 goals last weekend. Best for Newstead, Ramsey, Kroll, Gilboy, Ethan Ford, Sam Kerr and Jotty Entwistle. And for Harcourt, their better players, McNamara, Mack, Mitchell, Chaplin, McLean and Williams. Sam, it's probably a result that we both tipped Newstead last week. We thought it might have been a little bit closer than this, though. We thought that Harcourt might have given it a better show.
Yeah, Newstead's got a couple of class performers. Daniel Christmas, obviously very good, has been very good for a long time.
Let's hope Christmas just doesn't come once a year.
No, I'm sure he'll deliver all year.
Good.
And yeah, Mark Ramsey's another name.
I was just comparing with Brody there. That was a terrible joke. So.
Yeah, it's not your best word.
No, not at all. But we'll keep rolling. So, fantastic win by Newstead on the weekend. Let's have a look at the game between Royal Park and Trentham, of course, played here at Hedges Oval last Saturday. Royal Park 15-11-101, defeating Trentham 2 goals 5-17. 4 goals to Zach Stewart, 3 to Dane Baker, 2 each to Neil, Blake and Trent Pye. Just the 2 singles for Trentham, Luke Whitehouse and Corey Pedley kicking their goals. Best players for Royal Park, Trent Pye, Ben McKay, Shane Gray, Brendan Birch, Dane Baker and Jared O'Connor. And for Trentham, their better players, Johnny Cowell, Wicker, Bruton, Cutler, Drew and Whitehouse. Fantastic win on the weekend for your boys, Stewie. It must have been a real thrill to get that first win under the belt for the season.
Yeah, it was. It was a very good relief, actually, on Saturday afternoon. So the boys had worked hard for 12, 13 weeks, so it was a good result. We spoke
a couple of days ago off camera, and you mentioned that with the practice match schedules not really good for your whole squad, that Saturday was kind of the first time that the blokes played together. So how did you find that in that regard they gelled, and is it just really something where they're going to be better for the run in many ways?
Oh, definitely. We had 2 practice matches in the last 6 weeks. Some guys could play in one and not the other. So yeah, Saturday was actually the first day that we actually had our full squad together. So some of those guys hadn't even sort of played footy together. And yeah, look, the way they gelled out there on Saturday and really, took on everything that we've been working on, I think they'll be better for the run.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a great result for the guys, and it was good to see the young blokes as well, and the young ones have a fair dip at it.
Fantastic.
So with the first win under the belt, Stewie, how far do you think you can go this year, really?
Nah, look, realistically, the old cliche, you take it 1 week at a time. But nah, look, my focus this year is to really just build a list, build the team back up, win a few games, and get some respect back. Really, I mean, look, the guys, their attitude and endeavour, look, they'll go okay. We'll win a few more games, but realistically, it's about building the club this year. It's a 2-3 year plan.
Yep, so keeping the lid firmly on then.
It's firmly on.
Yes.
Justin, the aftermatch, of course, it's something that was legendary around these parts. Unfortunately, in the last few years, wins have been pretty few and far between, so it must have been a big night here on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was a pretty big night. I couldn't last very long. I was home by about 10, I reckon, but
yes.
A few of the boys kicked on, and I think it got a bit wild for a while. But
yeah, probably safe to get home and early nights like that as well.
Yeah, I marched out pretty quick, but yeah, they had a good time and they deserved it.
I know talking to a few people around the club that said they're not normally big drinkers around the club, but they did enjoy themselves on Saturday night, so something a long time coming for the club, which is fantastic.
Yeah, responsibly, of course.
Responsibly, of course, nothing but. Let's have a look at the next game played last weekend, which was out at Campbell's Creek, a huge game between Campbell's Creek and the Maryborough Rovers. Another result that we didn't really see coming too much. Campbell's Creek 24-15, 159, defeating the Rovers 13-12, 90. 10 goals to Joel Smith for Campbell's Creek, the headline from this game. 3 each to Mark Adamson and Sammy Noble as well, and 2 to Stone and Austin Jones. Yes, former St Kilda star Austin Jones playing for Campbell's Creek last weekend. Maryborough Rovers, Brent Hudson kicked 4 goals and 2 to Grant Ryan and Nicholas Hoban, and of course Corey Taylor as well, as I get a little bit ahead of myself reading the results. Best players for Campbell's Creek, Joel Smith with 10 goals, of course, best on ground, followed by Aaron Murray, O'Toole, Noble, Climac and Stubbings, and for the Rovers, Ryan, Scotty Sellers, Trent Monk, Matthew Stiles, Frank Towers and Brent Hudson, their best players. Campbell's Creek's, Sammy, I reckon 3 times last year they kicked over 100 points in a game. They had it done and dusted by half-time last week.
Yeah, I don't think Campbell's Creek are going to be quite as bad as people think. Joel Smith is obviously a very good player, as he proved with 10 goals on the weekend. Very hard to match up on, and I think he'll cause a few teams some headaches this year. Yeah,
fantastic win by Campbell's Creek. Interesting too, we might see a little bit more of Aussie Jones than we first thought as well. Some talk coming out of Greg, and this will interest you, that Aussie Jones may play more than just the one game. He may saunter down a couple of times throughout the year when Bendigo goal commitments allow. So hopefully he does, because that'd be a fantastic thing for the league to see Aussie Jones playing out of Creek more often this year, Sammy.
Yeah, it'd be great for especially a club like Campbell's Creek being down in the dumps recent years. I think it'll give them a real boost.
Well, we've spoken about some big results so far in the MCDFNL this weekend. Let's have a look at one of the closer games. Next, Lexton, taking on Natty Biella, a game fairly close to your heart, Sam, and it was Lexton 7-9-51, defeating Natty 7-7-49. Matthew Brown, the only multiple goal kicker for Lexton with 2 goals, and Brent Mortlock, the only multiple for Natty with 2 goals. Best players for the Tigers, Jennings, Templeton, Morrish, Aspland, Paul Phillips and Jordan Phelan. And for Natty Bialaba, their best players, Fitzgerald, Chadwick, Gifford, Long, Banco and Mortlock. Sam, you were at this game. Talk us about it, mate. There was no more than 3 points that separated the sides at any change. Must have been really exciting.
Yeah, very, very scrappy game, Sean. Not too free-flowing. I think both sides had a lot of new faces. So I'm sure as the season goes on, both sides will gel a bit more.
From a Natty point of view, mate, where can you improve for the season? I say you, because obviously you do play reserves footy at Natty Biella, but where can the boys improve for the season, do you think?
I think their ball use in particular, they butchered it a little bit on the weekend and yeah, proved costly in the end.
Which I suppose isn't too bad a thing in round 1, Stu, and you'll know a lot more about this as well, that round 1's not bad to get those skill errors out of the way sometimes. You can forgive the guys for overusing and butchering sometimes in round 1, just because it's their first competitive hit out in a long, long time.
Oh, definitely. Look, every club's the same. They've been training for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's different to get out in a game. And yeah, the skills are different in pressure. It's different. It's pressures from the game puts on different skills, etc. And when you're training for 12, 13 weeks, round 1 is a bit of a it can be that sort of a game. You can have a lot of mistakes, but I think all the clubs and all the guys that are playing would be more than happy to get round 1 out of the way.
I think you're dead right. A couple of teams that were definitely happy for it to happen on Sunday. Talbot taking on Maldon, and a great win for the Bombers in the end. Getting over the line on the road in round 1, which is always difficult to do. Maldon 10-12-72, defeating Talbot 9-14-68. Another close game this weekend. Lee Harrison put Maldon on his shoulders, kicked 7 goals on the weekend. Sean Birchall with 2 as well. For Talbot, their multiples, Darren Burns and Trent Barris with 2 goals each. Wayne Birchall, best on ground for Maldon this weekend. Tommy Horn, Lee Harrison, Kelly, Birchall and Davey. For Talbot, Nathan Burke, Matthew Smith, Lucas Mortimer, Brandon McRedmond, Timothy Solomon and Kane Heathcock. The best players for the Hawks, Sam. Really close game, this one. I thought this might have been, I suppose, going where we thought the Newstead Harcourt game was going to be close. I thought this one might have been a little bit more one-sided Maldon's way, so really good work by the Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. This is another game I went and had a look at on the weekend.
Did you get around?
I do. Yeah, Talbot, pretty impressive in the second half. I think they'll push a few sides this year. I think if it had gone maybe 5 minutes longer, the Hawks might have got over the line.
Very good work by both sides. And also on Sunday, Denali taking on Avoca up at the Deledio Reserve. And it was the Bulldogs getting first blood for the season. 11 goals, 12-78, defeating Denali 5-4-34. Murray Bond in his first game for Avoca, 7 goals up forward. Denali had Joe Thompson with 3 goals. Best for Avoca, Murray Bond, no surprise there. Coach Adrian Pilgrim, we'll talk about coaches putting themselves in the best players in a minute, Sam, because I don't like that practice at all. Matthew Dukes, Bo Ketchen and Lockie Edwards. Denali's best players, Joe Thompson, Lee Jackson, Tony Ballinger. Again, coaches, best players, what's going on? Graham Crawford, Michael Campbell and Jesse Hawkes. Really good hit out for both sides. Avoca keeping Denali scoreless in the first quarter, only 1 goal at half time. Really good performance by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Murray Bond, as you said, pretty good first game in red, white and blue, 7 goals. Couldn't ask much more than that.
No, fantastic work by Murray Bond. But let's talk a little bit of Royal Park now, Justin. Let's talk a little bit about the award that your club won over the summer. You got involved with the Anti-Counts Council last year. You got involved with the project you called the Royal Wave to help raise money for the Anti-Cancer Council. Raised over $20,000 throughout the course of the year. The Anti-Cancer Council, if you say that 3 times quickly, you get in all sorts of trouble, as you just heard. Came to the party over the summer and awarded you one of their highest awards, awarding you the President's Award in late 2012. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it was a fantastic year and something very different, something we were very nervous about trying, but yeah, we wanted to give it a go and we didn't have a lot to lose. We'd been down and out for a long time at the club, so yeah, we give it a whirl and we're really happy with the way the year went.
Who was responsible for an initiative like that and getting something like the Royal Wave program introduced within the club?
There was probably a few of us that sort of kicked it off. We discussed it a fair few times actually. I think we discussed it at Subway a few times and Sammy caught us. Yeah, we talked about it and probably for a couple of years before we did it, there was probably 4 of us that really decided, yeah, we're going to do it. And at that stage there wasn't a lot of committee at the club and not a lot of helpers. And so I guess we kind of had the run of it. We didn't have to persuade a lot of people, but yeah, probably 4 ex-players or current players, and we decided we'd try it and went from there. Everyone was really receptive to the idea. So.
Fantastic. I suppose it's really put the club on a good footing for 2013. As we know, you've started positively with the win, but it seems that positivity goes way back to December, January when the pre-season really started, because there's been a good vibe around this place for quite a while.
Yeah, we knew we were a good club and we always had a lot of fun. Our functions, I think, are second to none. Yeah, we just were very confident that we could rebuild. We got told by a lot of people that we shouldn't and we should merge or fold, but a lot of strong committee people said no, we don't want that. And a lot of the committee we've got now are people that have come back, they've gone away and had kids or got involved with their business more, and then they've come back now and they really want to have a crack. And we've got the best bunch of blokes I've ever met up at this club, so we're all keen to keep going and keep the club going for them. Mate,
that's the kind of stuff we want to hear, just going in the right direction. People want to keep the club afloat and that really have Royal Park at heart.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I couldn't be happier with the group we've got up here.
So do you think, Justin, that those merger rumours might disappear now that things seem to have turned around?
No, I don't think so, Sammy. That's I don't know, it's like Greg said, it's round 1, we don't know how we're going to go, but we're confident we'll go well. But other clubs in the area are obviously struggling for numbers. The juniors are in a bit of a rough state around the town, so I'm not sure. I think it'll be revisited in years to come, but hopefully we're in a much stronger position than we were.
Very good.
So let's move on now, gentlemen. Let's have a look at this week's round. Round 2 of MCDFNL action. Starting on Saturday out at Trentham. Trentham taking on Newstead. Got a feeling this one could be a little bit one-sided, Sam?
Yeah, I think the Saints might be in for a bit more punishment. They haven't started too well, as Justin and Greg know. And Newstead started very well, so I think a big win to the Kangaroos.
I was going to say that, Greg. You did obviously have a good look at Newstead at Trentham, on the weekend and going up against them in round 1. There's been a lot of press about them with a lot of players leaving and everything like that, but how did they look out on the field?
They came here, and they were competitive, and they came here to play footy.
Yep.
And to their credit, they got 2 sides together. They had reserves and seniors, and look, they did try to be competitive. And I spoke with the coach and that after the game, and they have had a lot of people leave, and they have had a lot of people clearances go through. So I spoke to them on Saturday night, and they're sort of back to where we were. Trying to rebuild and get your list back together. So, and I think they're aware that it's going to have a bit of a struggle just to keep that the teams going. So, but on the track, they were very they were competitive and they gave us a good run. So it was good.
Oh, it's good to hear that it's not all doom and gloom out at Trentham. Next game for the round, one very close again to your hearts, gentlemen. Avoca taking on Royal Park, both round 1 winners. The Bulldogs are going to this as favourites. Obviously, Murray Bond, a good target up forward. We've obviously got some plans to kind of derail that train of thought, Greg.
Oh no, look, I'm very confident with our fullback, Eddie McKay, and played really well there on Saturday, so I'm pretty sure he'll do a fairly good job.
Sammy, Avoca versus Royal Park this weekend, mate. Which way are you leaning on this one?
Well,
remembering where you are,
yes,
and the furore you got last week from tipping against Royal Park.
Yes, a few people have got stuck into me about Royal Park last week, so I'm going to jump on board the Tigers bandwagon back in this week.
Doesn't take it much, does it? Just get into it a little bit.
Pressure's on.
Old Teflon Gowers, nothing sticks to him. Keeping going, Maryborough Rovers taking on Talbot this weekend at Rovers. Sammy, another interesting game. Two teams that lost round one that will definitely be coming out looking for some points this weekend. I reckon probably the Hawks favourites in this one.
Yeah, like I said, I was pretty impressed with Talbot in the second half last week. Rovers obviously not a great start to the year for them, so yeah, I'm going to go with the Hawks.
Pretty big game out at Navarre this weekend. Navarre taking on Campbell's Creek. Creek, of course, one of the big winners from last weekend. Navarre had plenty of opportunity to sit back and watch. They had the weekend off, having played in the season opener the weekend previously. So I suppose it's rare coming into a game where Campbell's Creek are 1-0 and Navarre is 0-1. But I've got a feeling that might be rectified this weekend with absolutely no disrespect to Campbell's Creek.
Yeah, I agree. Like we said before, Joel Smith, very, very good player for Campbell's Creek. They've got a core of pretty talented players, but I think Navarre might get the points here.
Yeah, I reckon that as well. Harcourt taking on Carisbrook. Again, Brook had the week off last weekend after their season open, the first game of the season, getting the win up. No Anthony Koutafidis for Carisbrook this weekend, although I don't think it's going to make that much difference with their game style. I think they're going to get up anyway.
Yeah, Carisbrook are a very, very solid team right across the board, and I don't think Harcourt will be able to match it with them this week.
A very interesting game up your neck of the woods, Sammy. Natty Biella taking on Denali. This one could be very interesting. Two sides, I reckon, could be reasonably evenly matched this season. And look, Natty will probably start as favourites, but Denali, you just never know.
Yeah, with the amount of ins that Denali have had this season, it's hard to gauge where they're at the moment. But yeah, I think it'll be a very, very good game. Obviously, I'll tip the Swans in this one.
Good work. It's Sunday game this week, just the one. Malden taking on Lexton out at Malden. Both round one winners. Somewhat surprisingly, some people may say, with Lexton winning. A lot of people thought that Natty would win that game, but with some really solid signs from Lexton, as long as Matthew Brown's up forward, I reckon they're going to be competitive all year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Malden and Lexton, Matt Brown, very hard to stop up forward. Obviously, he didn't have a great impact last week with only 2 goals. Malden, I thought, struggled at times against Talbot, so I reckon Lexton will be 2-0 after this round.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting round of MCDFNL action. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Greg Stewart and Justin Broad from the Royal Park Footy Club. Boys, best of luck this weekend. Justin, thanks for joining us firstly, mate.
Thanks for having us.
Stewie, good luck, mate. 2-0 would be very, very nice to come back Saturday night.
It's going to be very nice, but we'll just see how we go.
We will indeed. Thank you very much for joining us. Sammy, you're not going anywhere, mate, because we're going to be back right after this with our netball segment for the week with the Denali Football Netball Club. Welcome back to the MCDFNL Footy Show. Time to talk netball this week, and we're still here at Royal Park, would you believe? But we've got the Denali Football Netball Club in to talk about netball this week. Joining us from the Eagles, firstly, Katie Lovell. Katie, welcome to the Footy Show.
Thank you.
And Denali 17 and under coach, and of course, Maryborough Castle Lane District Football Netball League 17 and under coach in the Central Highlands Regional State League, David Clausen. David, welcome to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very well, mate. It's great to have you here. It's great to have you both come down from Denali to Maryborough. I suppose a little bit easier than coming down to Ballarat, where we're originally going to take this week. So, kind of giving you a halfway chop out on that. So, thanks for coming in. So let's have a look at this week's results. We'll start first with Newstead and Harcourt. We've got all the results on screen at the moment. How do you see Newstead and Harcourt faring this year in the netball ranks, Kate?
Newstead I would imagine to be quite strong this year. They've retained a couple of their players from last year who were key-ins. Their coach in Amanda Guthrie is very much, she's got a very strong netball brain, and she'll certainly guide them through the season quite well. They've also got a couple of new recruits, so I expect Newstead to be very competitive.
Royal Park taking on Trentham last weekend. Big win to Royal Park, 58-16. Johnson with 22 goals and Sutton with 21 for Royal Park. Brown with 10 for Trentham. Best players for Royal Park, Clifford, Johnston and Hovey. For Trentham, Brown, Keogh and Wielden. Good weekend for Royal Park. Big win in the footy, big win in the netball. Dave, they've got things up and going here at Hedges Oval at the moment.
Exactly, yeah. I think Kiliana Sutton's a big in for, got a bit of height.
Yep.
a bit of muscle about her so she can hold a position in the ring. She was a very good junior out at Carisbrook, so couldn't imagine her going backwards. So with Faye Shelton, she was very reliable, sort of Cole Drummond mould. But I think Gilliana Sutton got a bit of youth, just had that little bit extra bite to their attack.
Some good signs for Bushy going forward this year. Campbell's Creek versus Maryborough Rovers. I'll tell you what, it's a good sign. We had Maryborough Rovers netball girls on last weekend. They got over the line on the weekend, so let's hope a little bit of the luck rubs off on Denali for this week coming. Maryborough Rovers 37, defeating Campbell's Creek 19. Better players for both sides, Amy Alderson and Neil for Campbell's Creek, and Fitzpatrick, Raven and Steed for the Maryborough Rovers. Two teams that probably flew a little bit under the radar. Not too many teams talking about these two on the netball front this year, Kate.
No, they're not at the moment, but you can never underestimate Rovers, especially with Sandra at the helm. She certainly knows how to get the girls up. So, they're always just such a tough competition when we play them. So we would expect very tough games when we play Rovers.
Yeah, I think Campbell's Creek is a very young side. Yes. Speaking to Vanessa Saunders the other night at the tryouts, she's there in a rebuilding phase. So at this stage of their development, they might struggle against the top teams, but they're out there having a go. So that's all you can ask.
Fantastic work. Lexington taking on Natty Bialaba. Now, this was a close game against two sides, Sam, that probably tipped to be up there this season in the netball. Lexington 39, defeating Natty 33. Rachel Phelan with 22 goals for Lexington. Lisa Donhart with 17 goals. Buckley 21 and Martin 12 for Natty Bialaba. As I turn the page over, which you can't see, thankfully. Best players for Lexington, Katrina Bolsh, Kim Roberts and Rachel Phelan. And for Natty Bialaba, their best players, Edwards and Martin. It's pretty familiar names we read out there, Dave.
Yeah. I think Crystal Fisher thought she was going to be a big loss for them, but obviously they've covered her well. The goalies are very consistent. Not flashy, but very, very consistent. They'd probably be shooting 80% most times they get out there. So it makes the defenders' job a little bit easier if the ball's not coming back just as quick as it's going down there. So, but yeah, they're very strong through the mid court. So you would expect they'd be top four this year again. And same with Natty. Ingrid's playing there again this year, so
That always puts them in the
it does,
straight away.
Yeah. I think young Edo's coaching them out there, so this year coaching him. But I'm sure Ingrid would give her plenty of guidance in that department. So,
Who, of course, is our interleague coach this year as well, Ingrid Hopkins.
Senior interleague coach, yes.
Sam, we'll get you to go through the Sunday games for us, mate, because you're probably better at reading netball results than I am at the moment.
On Sunday we had Malden 61 defeat Talbot 21. Goals from Malden, McKnight 36 and Crom 25. And for Talbot, Earl 15 and McClure 6. Talbot struggling a little bit this year, or where do you think they'll head?
Yeah, I think they have lost a couple of key players that they've had over the last couple of years. Again, they're using some of their younger players, so they'll be expecting to rebuild again this year. New coach in Judy Crisell, she's had many years of experience, so hopefully she can give those young girls a little bit of guidance and they can take something from each game that they play each week. But again, a younger team, girls that are playing possibly more than one game each week, but credit to them for getting the team on the court.
Yep, and what about Malden? How do you think they'll travel this year?
Malden will be very strong again. I would expect them to be at least top 4 or 5 this year. They've been building with some juniors coming through. As you mentioned, Rebecca McKnight, she's been there for a couple of years now. She's had a few years of senior netball experience, and I think this is her year to really step up and make use of that as a goalie for Malden.
Very good. And moving on to our next game, Denali 49 defeated Avoca 39. Goals for Denali, Carly Downs 27 and Carly Geary 22. Avoca, of course, Colleen Drummond 23 and Briley Parker 16. Sure you two could fill us in on this one.
Yeah, it was a very good game actually, wasn't it? The scores didn't indicate. It's probably the last 5 or 10 minutes that Denali got a bit of a break on Avoca. Young Briley Parker's come back to Avoca. Last year was out at Sandhurst.
Yep.
So she's got that extra bit of height and a bit of spring there, so it adds a bit of bite there.
Yep.
The Lana Burge experience back there.
Yep.
I thought 2 younger players, Ebony Howell and
Caitlin, her sister, yes.
both stepped up. They played great games. So Lucy Walkley in the centre always gives 100%, so I think they're the same as Lex, and I think they'll be top 4 size again, yeah.
And the Denali girls, they have got off to a pretty good start there.
Yeah, we were very happy with the way they played together, especially the way they gelled together as a team. A couple of new girls in there, and it's lots of experience as well. Young Sophie McQuinn stepped up into A grade this year. She's still eligible to play 17s, but she's certainly proven herself as a junior who's willing to put in the hard yards. Last year she would sit beside Bob Gartside, the A grade coach, and she would just listen, and Bob would give her guidance through the game, point things out to her, and she's trained with the seniors all of last year, and this year she's been rewarded. So she stepped up into A grade for her first game on Saturday and acquitted herself quite well. So she actually reminds me quite a lot of Ashley Lyric as a young netballer to our club. Same sort of commitment, dedication, and just a lovely young girl. So she'll be working closely beside Ashley Lyric on the court. So she'll get lots of guidance there as well. So we were quite happy with the way that she worked together with the more experienced players in the team.
Yes. Great to see Sophie come up as well, who, Dave, you had obviously a lot to do with in the RSL side as well. She was our best and fairest player for the 17 and under side. So I suppose from a coach's point of view, you've coached her through the 17s, you've coached her through the RSL side, now the interleague side. Now to see her come up into the senior ranks, it must really be a good feeling for you, knowing that you've got someone like that can step up and be a really effective player at that level.
Oh yeah, I'm just excited for young Soph. She's just like a sponge, you talk to her and she just looks you straight in the eye. There's no if, buts or maybe. And if you said to her, I want you to try and run through that brick wall, that's what she goes out and tries to do.
Probably not advisable.
No, not advisable, but just a real sponge, everything you do. And she will say to you, look, I don't think I'm playing real good, this girl's getting away from me, what will I do? If she doesn't think she's handling things on the court, she will come and ask you, what can I do? Which is a sign of going to be a very good netballer.
Katie, we had Ashley Lyric on the show last week, and she mentioned in no uncertain terms that Denali are looking towards not just finals, but going deep into finals this year. Look, is that something where you feel that you've got the list that you can really succeed and go deep into September this year?
Oh, absolutely. We've been working pre-season a lot on team cohesiveness. So a lot of the senior girls participated in a fitness challenge in Bendigo, for which they actually came third. But during the whole fitness challenge, they were the only team that actually all stayed together and worked their way through it. So finishing third was quite an achievement for them, rather than the fitter ones sort of taking off. And so that sort of togetherness, I guess, is something that we've worked on to add that extra dimension, that when things sort of get tough in that final series, that the girls can really pull together and pull something special off this year.
Fantastic. Now, Dave, you're in charge of the 17s down at Denali. You've obviously got Sophie up playing in the A grade at the moment. How's the squad looking this year? Are there any more girls that have really got the potential to be A grade players?
I think there's a couple of girls there who will step up. Young Steph Gibley, she's just come out under 15s, but very determined defender. She's got that mean streak about her that defenders have got to have.
Good.
When her body develops and gets that little bit physically stronger, I think she'll be a very nice player. As you said, Soph going into A grade left a big hole. We had a couple of new girls that played on Saturday, which I thought they played exceptionally well. So once they get used to the routine and everything like that. We lost a couple of girls from last year, 3 girls from last year, which left a big hole in the mid-course because they were very experienced. So because we couldn't get an under 15 side, we brought those 3 or 4 girls up and they were playing in the 17s. So look, as a coach you expect to win every time you go out there, but I was quite pleased with the way we won. It was just our decision making under pressure in that last 5 minutes that Avoca got a couple of turnovers and scored goals from. So I think the future looks bright. I'm not saying we're going to win every game, but they'll know we're out there anyway.
Well, Dave, let's have a chat about the Central Highlands Regional State League competition. You're at the helm for the 17 and under side throughout the competition. Unfortunately, we didn't win a game throughout the competition, but you could just see that the girls improved with every week that they played, and by the end they really gave Wimmera, who were the highly fancied team throughout the whole tournament, a real run for their money in the finals.
Yeah, they did actually. The first game we were a bit shell-shocked, got out there, how ferocious it was, and how the other teams put their body on the line and everything like that. But by the end, we were given as good as we were getting. and the scoreboards didn't indicate how well we played, actually.
I agree.
Because we had 12 girls and 2 or 3 of them pulled out, we didn't have that second tier that could step in where we could rotate and give the bigger girls a rest, and that's when the floodgates opened a little bit. But we learned a lot, the league I think learned a lot, because we picked our squad very late. Everybody was out of netball season. So they were all out of netball mode and they couldn't be bothered to sort of come to the tries and things like that. So, I put a few recommendations to the delegates that we pick our squad earlier, say about August. We can start training earlier, and sort of pick the players that we want. We sort of struggled to get 12 players, but to the girls' credit, the ones that went down there, I could see improvement in each one of them every week.
Oh, you couldn't, obviously. Yeah. Sophie's a bit of a standout, but I was really impressed with Julie Anderson from Lexington and Maddie Ruggles throughout the tournament as well, who really played strongly throughout the whole tournament.
Exactly, yeah. And that was the problem when I had to give those girls a rest. The next year couldn't sort of step in, at this stage of their development, because some of them were only sort of small, slight girls, and they couldn't handle that physical pressure, and like I said, that's when their floodgates open. So, but I think, like I said, we learned a lot. I learned a lot as a coach, basically how to handle players when things are not going okay, where you just got to keep encouraging them all the time, instead of sort of being down on them. You've got to try and keep them up each week. So in that sense, I thought it was very invaluable. And even just going and watching the way those professional squads like Wimmer and that present themselves, how they warm up and everything like that. So I think next year, hopefully we'll have a stronger squad and the results could be a lot better.
Well, let's hope so, because it was a fantastic tournament and both the Open and the 17 under sides really acquitted themselves well for the MCDFNL. But let's have a look at this week's A-grade netball games, and Katie, I'm going to need your help with this one because I'm not the world's most renowned netball expert in the world, so I'm going to lean on you fairly heavily for advice here. So starting this week with Trentham versus Newstead out at Trentham, how's this one going to go?
I think the Newstead girls will take this one quite easily. Trentham are always a bit of an unknown. They have struggled with A-grade for quite some years, so they do have a new coach though, but Newstead to get the points there.
Avoca taking on Royal Park. You might have to be a little bit careful with the way you tip here, given where we are at the moment. We might not get out alive if we say the wrong things.
Look, I think Avoca, but it will be a close game. Yeah.
Let's go down. You'll be okay.
That's okay. No, I think Avoca just might have a few too much strength generally all over the court. As we mentioned, a couple of the young ones in Caitlin and Ebony Howe, definitely their defensive pressure last week was fantastic against our A-grade girls, so I think that's where they could win the game.
Maryborough Rovers taking on Talbot this weekend. We spoke about the Rovers, that they're always there or thereabouts. Is it going to be the case again this weekend?
I think so, yes. Again, another close game, but I think Sandra will certainly get those girls over the line this week.
Dave, Navarre taking on Campbell's Creek this weekend. We know Navarre, traditionally a very, very strong side. They showed it in the opening round against Carisbrook. You'd think that they'd be too strong for Campbell's Creek.
Yeah, like I said, I think Campbell's Creek are developing a younger squad. So probably next year, but I think Navarre might be too strong over the court for them.
Harcourt taking on Carisbrook as well this weekend. A couple of teams that are probably middle of the road, you'd probably say, with their development so far, Kate?
Definitely, and this one could go either way. Harcourt are always the unknown. They, as you said, they tend to fly under the radar pre-season, and you never know exactly what you're going to get. They've got a couple of strong defenders who I do know of, but the rest are unknown. So this one sort of really could go either way. Carisbrook possibly just a little bit too steady, but again, if their goalies are off, then Harcourt could take points.
We'll skip ahead to Sunday's game. Malden taking on Lexington. This should be a beauty.
Absolutely, yes. And Malden have a new recruit in the centre, and I think if they've got her playing, then expect an absolute cracker of a game.
And of course, the last game for the weekend, Natty Bialba taking on Denali. Out at Natty, we know which way you're going to tip. Why are you going to beat Natty Bialba this weekend?
Oh, why are we going to beat Natty? Look, I think that, as I said, our cohesiveness that we've been working on, the ability for those girls to really work hard together could be a telling factor.
One to watch in your A-grade side?
Absolutely.
Beautiful
Absolutely.
work. Thank you very much to both Katie and David for coming on and joining us tonight to talk about all things netball. I tell you, you've done a better job than I could, and Sam could as well. Although Sammy is pretty good, you've done a better job than we could in a long, long time. So thanks for coming down. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much out there for watching the MCDFNL Footy and Netball Show, of course, for another week. We'll be back again next week, next Thursday afternoon, with all of the news, views and reviews from around the Maryborough Castlemaine District Football Netball League. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.